Baldur's Gate 3's Patch 8 released 12 new subclasses, and in this video I'll be helping you pick which subclass is best for you. And I'll be giving recommendations based on playstyles and what you want to get out of the class. Now, my personal favorite is the Giant Barbarian because you do suplexes, and it's just an absolute blast being able to throw any type of weapon. But I'm actually going to start off with the Wizard, as the Wizard's actually a very well done Gish style build. Gish being like a spellcaster that's combined with a melee attacker. So you get all the goodness of being a wizard, which is the utility that they bring because you get a ton of different spells. You can learn them from scrolls. But the big thing with the wizard is you get an extra attack if you choose the Bladesinging subclass. And I actually think this is the best subclass for the wizard for 99% of people. The Abjuration is really good because you can stack up Arcane Ward and become pretty much unhittable, but for the average player, Bladesinging is really great because you get yourself the Blade Song here, which increases your armor class, you get increased movement speed, and bonuses to your Constitution saving throws, so you hold your concentration on spells. Who this is best for is people that want to go around doing not just melee attacks, but also spell casting. Previously, the Warlock was kind of the best at this, but this offers a new flavor of the melee spell casting combination. You do get way more spells than a Warlock would get, and you get the Arcane Recovery from the Wizard, so you can recover your spells, and you get all the freedom of learning spells from scrolls, which there's a couple unique ones like Dethrone and Artistry of War, which only the Wizard can hold in their spellbook. This is an intelligence-based class, the only intelligence-based class in the game, and the Bladesinging Wizard is fun for those that want something that's spellcasting but also melee attacking. So you get to pick a Bladesinging weapon. I like the rapiers. They all have their own unique animations to them, so they have different abilities or different appearances, and I think it's very stylish. This is also a great class to take advantage of Booming Blade, which will deal additional damage and additional thunder damage when the target moves. And you can do this once per action. If you got haste, you can do a Booming Blade, an attack, a Booming Blade, and an attack, which is actually pretty strong itself. Now, what's also cool about this is the Duelist Prerogative, which is a rapier that you get. You can't equip a shield with it if you want an extra reaction. So this is a cool item because with the Bladesinging, you can't have a shield. That weapon, you can't have a shield. It gives you an extra reaction, so you can do 2 counter spells per turn. So if you love doing the big block by James, shutting down any spellcaster's spells, this is just perfect for you. And it also gets the extra attack at level 6, similar to the Sword Bard, so full casting and an extra attack. And once you hit level 10, you get the Song of Defense. So if you get attacked with an attack, you can use 5 times the spell's level slot to reduce the damage by that. So if you have a level 5 spell slot, you can reduce 25 damage from an attack, making you actually pretty tanky and very useful in certain circumstances. As I mentioned, there's the Duelist Prerogative there, giving you an extra reaction per turn when the offhand is empty, and you get a critical hit at 19. You can also dual wield with the Bladesinging Wizard, but I think this weapon works perfectly for it because that's 2 counter spells, and it has some of the coolest attack animations when you go into your Blade Song form. So you can see here, really cool animations. That's one of the biggest things that I like about this is all the flashiness that comes with some of these subclasses. This is actually one of my favorites because when you go and do a weapon attack, look at this little fancy stab that you do. So you do this little leg kick. You got the Withering Cut there too, if you want to deal a little extra damage from the sword. But yeah, look at that. That is super stylish. So I think that in itself is awesome to see. Just the cool animations that it comes with it. Also, the sword can give you a bonus action attack too. So this actually works perfectly to give yourself 3 attacks, 2 counter spells per turn. We also have the Blade Song Climax, which can do force damage, and it can also heal targets. So you can go ahead, ending your Blade Song, bump and down. You can see it did some healing on targets there. So this is good if you want to do kind of an all-around spellcaster melee attacker. You get light armor proficiency, so this works actually very well with the ballast armor if you want to do an evil playthrough, because you can apply vulnerability to piercing damage. This does piercing damage. So yeah, it gets to be very fun. I think this is a very good class, especially if you like spellcasting and weapon attacking. But I'm going to compare it now to the Hexblade Warlock, which is another class that does both of those. And the Hexblade here, which gives us the shield spell. Now, just a little asterisk here. Shield is a level 1 spell, but the Warlock also gets level 5 spells, and whenever it levels up its spells, it loses its lower level spells. So once you're at max level, you'll have level 5 spells. You don't want to use shield on that because you're going to just be burning through your spell slots quickly. You also get the Wrathful Smite, which can be nice. We also get Shadowblade, and so does the Bladesinging Wizard. I should mention that. And the new spell, Shadowblade, you can upcast and do a ton of damage with. You get Booming Blade level 1, you get Eldritch Blast, one of the best cantrips in the game. But where this differs from the Bladesinging Wizard is it's all about short rests, and you have the Bind Hex weapon. So you're going to be using your Charisma for weapon attacks, and you also get all the cool invocations, so you can get Agonizing Blast, Repelling Blast. The big one being Devil's Sight as well. So this is normal Warlock subclass features, but getting Devil's Sight means you can go hide out in darkness and you don't get blinded by it. But also the Warlock's spell list is much lesser than the Bladesinging Wizard. So if you want to play with more spells, the Bladesinging Wizard is the way to go. But if you want to be more of it's more kind of like a melee attacker kind of hybrid, then this one is cool as well. So as I mentioned, you get the Shadowblade spell here, which you're going to use as bonus action. It doesn't require concentration either. It's until long rest. It does psychic damage, so it can be doubled by the Resonance Stone, which you can grab in Act 2. And it can be upcast to deal additional psychic damage, which you previously couldn't upcast it before. So this becomes the best weapon for it. Also, you're still going to want to take Pact of the Blade with this because otherwise you don't get the extra attack. So if you just do Hexblade and take Pact of the Chain, you're going to get one attack, which is kind of useless. So you do want to be splitting it between those two. You also get the Darkness spell, but one thing about this is with Darkness, once you get to max level, you're using a level 5 spell slot for it. So just a little heads up there. It might be better to play as a drow so that you can get the free Darkness spell from there. Similar to the Bladesinging Wizard, you do get your extra attack, but you get a level 5, so it's a little bit earlier. Now, one thing that's really different about this is the Hexblade Warlock is a great multi-class because Charisma applies to both the Paladin, the Bard, and the Sorcerer. So you can actually multi-class these very well. It actually works great with the Sorcerer, which is kind of weird. Typically with the Sorcerer, you want to go like 2 levels of the Warlock and then 10 levels of the Sorcerer. But with this, you can multi-class with the Paladin. If you're outside of Honor mode, you get the extra attack stacking. So you can get your level 5 extra attack, take the Paladin level 5, and get 2 extra attacks, which is quicker than the Fighter would get it at level 11. But the big thing is you're limited in your spell slots. So if you want to take Counterspell, yeah, you have 2 reactions, but if you're using this weapon here, you have 2 reactions, but you burn through both your spell slots in one go. So it's a little bit more challenging. At level 6, though, you get the Accursed Spectre here, which you can, if you slay a creature with the Hexblade's Curse, which is what you apply from whenever you bind your weapon, you can also do as a bonus action apply it. You raise an Accursed Spectre that can fight alongside you. It does a bit of extra necrotic damage. It's a nice thing to help tank attacks for you. One of the biggest spells from the Warlock is Hunger Fidar here. This creates the darkness, does cold and acid damage per turn. It's nice, but it does fall off in terms of its effectiveness later in the game. Now, the Hexblade does get a spell that the Bladesinging Wizard doesn't get with the Banishing Smite here. So if you're a fan of Smite, this might be for you. This does use your bonus action, though, so it's a bit of an opportunity cost. We also have the unique spell Staggering Smite, which is unique to this subclass. This also does use your bonus action, but it adds a 46 of psychic damage. So if you're using Shadowblade and the Resonance Stone, you can basically one-shot anyone in the game. So it's actually pretty effective. But again, you burn through your spell slots so quickly with this, so it's a little bit of a challenge. But once you get to level 10, we get the Armor of Hexes. So when a creature cursed with your Hexblade's Curse attacks you, you can use a reaction to have a 50% chance of stopping that attack. That's pretty nice for a bit of defensiveness. It doesn't have an opportunity cost like the when you use the Song of Defense from the Bladesinging Wizard, so that is a nice change there. The only problem with the Warlock is you only get a few different spells for level 6 spells. You get like Circle of Death, you can only use it once per long rest, or the Create Undead spell, even Eye Bite. But at max level, you only get level 5 spell slots, so you get 3 level 5 spell slots per short rest. That's nice, but if you're going to use a Shadowblade, that takes up one of them, because, yeah, then you use one of your spell slots there. The nice thing about Shadowblade is, though, is you can see 48 plus 8 psychic damage, so that's actually really strong, and if you bind your Hex weapon, using that as a Hex weapon is really nice. You can also use this on the Bladesinging Wizard, I just want to mention that, too, so it's not unique to the Warlock, but hiding out in darkness using the Shadowblade is kind of the best way to go, because with the Shadowblade you get the advantage on attack rolls against lately or heavily obscured targets. So if you got haste, you can drop darkness on someone and run in and attack them with that, and it's likely going to take them out in one shot. So yeah, you can abuse the darkness. You got your Hexblade's Curse here, Booming Blade, all that. Where it differs from the Bladesinging Wizard is less spell selection, because you can see here that's all the spells that you get versus the Wizard, which can learn every single spell in the game all at once, and you can swap them out at will. So more utility on the Bladesinging Wizard. The Bladesinging Wizard also just, I think, is more fun. Less, if you love Warlocks, go for this one. But being limited to 3 spell slots for short rest is kind of difficult in fights. You also still get the Circle of Death, but with the Warlock or with the Bladesinging Wizard, you can always use your spells and then refresh them. You can get a free level 5 spell slot back, but you also get level 6 spells. So you get like Chain Lightning, Odaluk's Freezing Sphere, and Wall of Ice. So my personal preference, I like the Bladesinging Wizard. But both of them are great. The Bladesinging Wizard is a little flashier. The Hexblade is actually a better multi-class. And that's where I think this shines through, is if you want to multi-class and use Charisma for your attack rolls, take the Warlock. It's best at a single level dip. So if you went with 11 levels of Crown Paladin and 1 level of the Warlock, that's a great multi-class. Or if you go with 5 levels, which gives you the extra attack outside of Honor mode, and go with something like the Paladin or the Bard, then you got yourself 3 attacks, which is pretty cool. So couple different ways to cut the cake there. That's just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments. I'll just dive right into the next magical class, the Sorcerer. My favorite, other than the Barbarian, because you get a Shadow Dog. So with the Shadow Magic, you get the Strength of Grave, regaining 1 health point if you get downed, and then you also get Superior Dark Vision up to 24 meters, and you get unique Darkness spells, which I'll cover. It has all the spell slots and same progression as a normal Sorcerer does. You get your meta magic, so you can twin haste yourself and one other teammate, which is always going to be very strong. But we get to specialize the Dark and Darkness. So Darkness doesn't give you the ability to see in darkness. Eyes of the Dark does. So whenever you apply this, you get Dark Vision for 10 turns alongside the Darkness. So that is really nice because you can go hide out and spellcast from it. While this isn't the strongest, I still think the Draconic Sorcerer is the strongest. It's got a cool flair, especially if you pair it with a Warlock who has got Devil's Sight. It can also get Booming Blade, which is kind of funny in the Bursting Sinew new cantrips here, but for the most part, the big thing with this is the dog that you get and the ability to teleport and get Distance Spell for free. So once we make it to level 6, we get the Hound of Ill Omen. Summon forth a creature of darkness. When the darkness dog Nimbus gets attacked with a weapon attack, it can splinter off into additional dogs, and then those dogs can splinter off into additional dogs. It has 42 health. The dogs have 20 some health, 22 I think health, and every time they get attacked with non-radiant damage, they'll splinter off. So you can have multiple dogs. It's really fun. One of the biggest features here is you get the Shadow Walk. So teleport into the shadows. It's actually really generous with where you can teleport to. The next spell you cast will get Distance Spell, which increases the spell's range by 50%. I'm going to show you how beneficial that can actually be, because if you need to peel and get out of a combat situation, you can use this to teleport away. So basically you got the Shadow Walk here, and you can see this all counts as heavily obscured, which is pretty funny. So yeah, just because we're indoors, it's mostly going to be shadowy areas. So lately it must be lately or heavy obscured. You can see some of this counts as shadows and some of it doesn't. But whenever you do that, you get the ability to cast your spells at an insane range. So yeah, it just went back to normal there. But anytime that you do your teleport, you get a really big boost to your overall range that you got. So putting it in the turn base so you can see the actual range. Yeah, we can reach around and hit. We can hit Will from here. So from downtown, you can literally throw your magic missiles. And yeah, it's crazy the range that you get. In addition, we also got ourselves our Hound of Ill Omen. This is my favorite. So we got this little doggo here, so this can actually splinter off into multiple dogs. And what's cool about this is if you go into photo mode, it has unique, it's got unique poses for the dog. So just, I know this isn't really related to the class, but if you're someone that loves photo mode, this doggo is a really good boy. So yeah, that too. But yeah, this is a great class for those that like darkness, because you do get that shadow, the Eyes of the Darkness, which gives you dark vision. Normally you don't. Even if you have the dark vision spell, this doesn't actually let you see, because darkness causes blindness. So that's one of the few ways in the game. There's 3 items and 2 classes, the Warlock and now the Shadow Sorcerer that can see in darkness. So pretty cool, because you can hide out in your darkness. You can teleport back to it at any time with this free Shadow Walk, which is basically Misty Step without a spell slot. So if you like dogs, if you like shadow, if you like darkness, this is a great class for you. Now, the Swashbuckler, it's great for roleplay, but the Thief's probably the best subclass because it adds that extra bonus action. The Assassin's also great on a lot of builds. The Swashbuckler doesn't really add anything that we haven't already seen. You get the fancy footwork, so if you do an attack, you can't get opportunity attacked, making this actually a pretty good multi-class, because that's not crazy good if you only have 1 attack. And you also get the Rakish Audacity, giving you an increase to your initiative rolls, and you can get free sneak attacks. You don't have to have it. You don't have to have the advantage on them. So you got that dirty trick flick of the wrist, so you can possibly disarm. This is probably the best ability here, because this is basically a free weapon attack as a bonus action, and you can possibly disarm a target. There's also Vicious Mockery, great cantrip, but I don't think that this is the place for it. And then you also have the dirty trick Sand Toss. As a bonus action, you can blind. You got Pocket Sand. You can throw some dirt in their eye. I think it's fun, but this is a roleplay tier class. Similar to the Drunken Monk, it's roleplay tier, in my opinion. You get the Uncanny Dodge there. It's good. You get the extra skills. The Rogue's nice outside of combat, but in combat, they do suffer from just not being as good as some of the other ones. It does suck, because the Swashbuckler is such a cool concept, but it doesn't really have anything special going for it. It's got the Panache here, which you can roll a persuasion check to beguile a humanoid who must contest it with an insight check. Enemies who fail who get Panache disadvantage, and others who fail become charmed. Not great. I'll be honest, it's just not good. I want to like the Swashbuckler because it's a cool concept. there's mods that give you an extra attack at level 8 rogue, and then it can actually be useful because then you get the extra attack, and then the flick of the wrist is really its most useful ability. So you can disarm targets with that. You go and poke them with your sword, take the weapon out of their hands, which is awesome because then you can go, yep, that's mine, and take it from them. You also get the Vicious Mockery here, which is always a good time, and then Sand Toss, which is also pretty fun because you can blind targets with that. And yeah, outside of that, it's okay. It gets Sneak Attack, which is always a nice ability. If you have advantage against them, you can use this. You can also use attack without advantage if there's no other combatants within 2 meters of the target, or if you have an ally in combat range. It's all right. Just there's much better, unfortunately, subclasses here. So this is good for role playing if you want to play a Swashbuckler, or if you want a multi-class. Getting the bonus action abilities are pretty nice, but it does require a 4-level dip, which is also pretty good because level 4 gives you a feat, and then you can go 8 levels of maybe like the Gloomstalker Ranger. So there's options. Now the Arcane Archer Fighter. This is a fun one. It's like very much buffed from its Dungeons and Dragons because normally you only get 2 arcane arrows. This gives you a bunch more. So you get upwards of 10 once you reach level 10. You got like the piercing arrow here, which can shoot through targets. You got the shadow arrow, which can make them blinded. We got seeking arrow, which is like magic missile for your bow. Grasping arrow, which will make them take damage if they move and does additional poison. Enfeebling, which does necrotic damage and makes them feeble, which gives them half damage on their strength attacks. Bursting arrow explodes. Beguiling arrow does charmed on the enemy and does psychic damage, and the banishing arrow can banish a target. Now this is fun if you want to play through and be an archer. Now I personally prefer playing as the sword bard as an archer because you can use slashing flourishes and attack the same target 4 times. But the fighter is great because you get 3 attacks. In addition to this, you also get action surge. So really you get the normal benefits of being a fighter. You do get additional arrows, so like once we make it to level 7, we get ourselves more arcane arrows. We get magic arrow, overcoming resistances. We also get curving shot. If we miss an attack, we can use bonus action to attack another target. The bursting arrow is nice. It has the range of a fireball, so it's good, but not extremely powerful. And that's just the thing. The Arcane Archer Fighter is probably, it's a little bit worse than like the Battle Master, because the Battle Master can do a lot of ranged attacks with it. So it may not be the best archer, but it's still very powerful of an archer, and really powerful early game because the arrows don't actually scale up. They stay the same all the way through. So where that becomes interesting is you can actually do some of these arrows early game, get yourself like this does additional piercing damage. You can hit multiple targets, which is huge, actually huge range here. You can see like you can literally not be like aimed at someone. Like you can shoot right here at this dummy and you can still hit that target there. So it's pretty effective. You got bursting arrow doing additional force damage on your attacks. While this may not be the strongest class in the game, it's fun, and I think that's what it's all about. So I again personally prefer the arcane or the sword bard archer, or going with something like the battle master fighter for archery. But this is also really good. It also has some cool attack animations, so when you do the bow attacks, you do these cool jumps and shoot your arrows like that. So that in itself is pretty nice. Like I like the animations you get on these attacks. There's also mods coming out that actually add these to different classes, so that's pretty cool. But Arcane Archer, it's fun. Again, perfect for someone that wants to play as an archer with some magical abilities kind of weaved in. But if you want to go full magical, the sword bard is the way to go. Now, the way of the Drunken Master is kind of like the Swashbuckler, where the open hand is by and far of the best, and the way of the shadow is also extremely strong. The way of the 4 elements is a little bit weird, but the Drunken Master is more so roleplay. Because you get the Drunken technique, it has some of the coolest animations in the game, similar to Bladesinging Wizard, but it doesn't have the same effectiveness as Bladesinging Wizard. So you get proficiency and performance, cool. You get the Cheeky Tipple, so you're immune to the negative effects of being drunk, and once per day when you drink alcohol, you regain half your key points rounded down. That's where this really comes in, because it's a role-playing kind of class. You get the life of the party, though. Whenever you do an intoxicating strike, the monk gains life of the party, which increases its armor class and attack rolls against drunk targets. You can get a +5 to your armor class against strong targets, which is nice, but you have to go around using the intoxicating strike, which is much weaker than using like the open hand monk's abilities, and it potentially gets them drunk, which means that things like fireball will land a little bit quicker or easier on them. You get the stunning strikes and the extra attack similar to a monk, so it does have 2 attacks, making it a little bit better in the rogue. You also get the subclass feature redirect attack. When a creature misses you with a melee attack, you can spend 1 key point as a reaction to use unarmed strike back at them. And you can leap to their feet. When you're prone, standing up only uses 1.5 meters, your movement speed. It's kind of like the feat that you can get. So that's cool and all, but not that strong. Then the later ability is not even that great either, unfortunately. Like again, this is more of a roleplay one. So if you get the Sobering Realization, which is 1d6 plus 2d8 plus 2 psychic damage, hit a drunk target and sober them up. So you lose your life of the party. Unfortunately, on a successful hit, the monk loses its life of the party. So that sucks. and you get psychic damage. With the open hand monk can do on every single attack, and the thing with the open hand monks, it can do the attack where you attack twice. That's like additional 2d8 damage right there. You also get the Drunkard's Luck when you make an ability check, attack roll, or saving throw, and if disadvantage on the roll, you can spend 2 key points to ignore the disadvantage for that. That's okay too, but again, there's some better options out there as far as that, because key points are quite limited. You only get a few of them here. We get 13, and using tip 2 of them when we got things like the Intoxicating Strike that we just spend them on. That really sucks. So I'll show you this because the attack animations are cool. You throw a bottle up in the air and you punch it into their face. So that in itself is pretty fun. You also get the cool attack animations wherever you pull up the attack. So like, it looks hilarious. Yeah, I think it's fun. But again, it's a roleplay class because you get your key points back from drinking alcohol. Then you have the Sobering Realization, which can sober up a target, but again, the damage is not that great. Open Hand is just such a good subclass, and it makes this a little bit weaker. If you're looking for a monk, Open Hand's the way to go. But if you're looking for something fun and you like the concept of getting drunk, this could work well with the Swashbuckler. They don't multi-class perfectly together, but you can play them together because it's kind of funny that way. It's almost the Jack Sparrow of builds. So yeah, it's interesting, but not super powerful. Oath of the Crown Paladin. I really like this one. It's a true tank. Now, I think the Oath of Vengeance is stronger. However, Oath of the Crown has some different abilities. It got Spirit Guardian, Spiritual Weapon. It's got Righteous Clarity. You can add proficiency bonus to a target's attack rolls, which is okay, but its level 2 abilities are much better. Once we get here, I guess it's level 3, I should say. So we got our Divine Smites at level 2, and you get the spell slot selection. But level 3 gives us the both Turn the Tide, which can heal all enemies or allies within 9 meters range. And we got the Champion's Challenge. Challenge the enemies around you, compelling them to attack only you. Your attacks they make against others have disadvantage. So basically this is an aggro pull. You can use this in a 9-meter radius. It's a bonus action. It uses your Channel Oath, so no spells get consumed. And it makes the targets want to attack you because otherwise they'll have disadvantage on their attack rolls against your teammates. This makes it so that you're much more tanky, or it makes it so that your teammates are less likely to get hit. And you're almost somewhat of a tank as far as rolls go, as there's no real tank class in Baldur's Gate 3. This is the closest thing to it. And you get level 5 spiritual weapon attack and warding bond. You also get a extra attack there, which is quite nice. As per every paladin, you get the aura protection, giving you your charisma, which is also now correctly changed. It used to say +0, now it says whatever your charisma modifier is to your saving throws. At level 7, you get the divine allegiance. When an ally within 1.5 meters of you, which is not that far, takes damage, you can use your reaction to substitute your own health for your allies. So again, being more like a tank provider support kind of role. And then at level 9, this is the big one, you get Spirit Guardians. This is huge, doing radiant or necrotic damage, and you also get the Warden of Vitality. Now where this becomes cool is you can actually be a very good Radiating Orb build because you get the ability to do Divine Smite, stacking Radiating Orbs. You also get the improved Divine Smite, which makes all your attacks, I just want to make a clarification because some people think it's only on Divine Smite that you get the extra radiant damage, but it's on all your weapon attacks. So if we go to the main hand attack, you see that 1d8 radiance there. You don't get on the range, but on your melee attacks, you can do Radiating Orbs as well if you got the gear for it. So this is all about protecting your teammates. You got Spirit Guardian, so if enemies get close, they take the damage. You can go beside your most vulnerable wizard, keep them safe with this. And then you get the Champion's Challenge, which you can see there, actually a large radius to make people attack only you. So that's quite nice. And then you also got your Turn the Tide, which does a 1d6 plus 14 healing, which is also quite nice to have. So you can do this, giving a nice big boost to everyone in the areas healing. Your Channel Oath is only per short rest, so you can do that a few times if you wanted to, but I think the best thing is the Champion's Challenge there, which draws aggro towards you. Who is this class for? It's best for people that want to play somewhat of a tanking role, or if you're playing with someone, this can be a great like protector. So it's a lot of fun, especially if you got a more squishy class alongside it. So the Swarmkeeper, this is an interesting one because at level 3 you can actually add the Gather Swarm to your attacks, and every weapon attack will benefit from this. So once per round, the Swarm can assist you in 3 ways. So it can attack and deal piercing damage with the Legion of Bees, push the enemy away from you, or teleport you. Same with the light jellyfish, they can do lightning damage or shock the enemy, and the flurry of moths can do psychic damage or blind the enemy. I like the circle of moths personally because the blind ability is actually really useful. At level 5 you get extra attack, but you also get the web attack, which comes for free. And at any level you can always swap out your swarm, so that's cool if you want to try something else out, or if you come to a different part of the game, like Steel Watchers, lightning damage. Once we get to level 7, we get the Writhing Tide. You can condense part of your swarm to a focused mass that lifts you up, granting you a flying speed of 3 meters and protecting you from surface elements. So again, it's kind of situational. If you wanted to use something to teleport around, you got that ability there. And you also get to ignore difficult terrain per normal ranger ability. At level 9, we get ourselves another Writhing Tide charge, and we get Gaseous Form as a free spell. And once we make it to level 11, we get the Mighty Swarm. So your Swarm will now do a 1d8 damage instead of 1d6. And the special attack is one additional feature. Teleporting from your Swarm will also increase your armor class by 2 for the rest of that round, and that round only. So that just gives you a bit more utility in terms of what you can do. Now, the Swarms look really cool. I give them that. Also, for a 3-level dip, it's pretty effective. Where this is nice is you got your Writhing Tide there, which you can use for a little bit of extra mobility. It does use your bonus action, but it gives you some extra momentum if you need to teleport around or move around. You got 4 charges of that per long rest, so that's quite nice. You also get all the nice things that the ranger gets, to like half casting. Level 3 spells for barrage, and spirit. You got the spike grow, things like that. You got web for spells. Now, mainly the biggest thing is its attack. So when you do like a weapon attack, you can do an additional, either the Flurry of Moths to psychic damage. It can blind and slow the target. You can do a Mighty Teleport, which will give you that +2 to your armor class. So you got lots of options here. I accidentally did the wrong one there. But it's nice because adding a little extra damage on your attacks is pretty effective. So you can add that psychic damage to your attacks. It's nice. It could finish a target off. But again, I think the Ranger is one of the weaker classes in Baldur's Gate 3, unfortunately. And the Gloomstalker just is a little bit stronger. But who this class is for is if you like animals and you want to have a swarm of jellyfish, butterflies, or bees flying around you. It's cool thematically. And it's pretty strong. I mean, it's not gonna make the game harder to play with this. It's just not as good as some of the other classes that we'll be covering here. The Circle of Stars. This gives us our special Starry form. We got Archer, Chalice, and Dragon. What this class is best at is being kind of a hybrid of a Spellcaster, Healer, Support, and it does radiant damage on its attacks. So you get guidance here. You also get the special Guiding Bolt. So you get a normal Guiding Bolt, but one that uses star map charges. So this gives attack rolls against a target advantage, which is nice for supporting your teammates. You also get the Archer, Chalice, and Dragon forms, with the Archer giving us a Luminous Arrow, which has a cool animation that we pull a Starry Bow, does a radiant damage. We have the Chalice, which whenever we do a healing spell, we can do another free healing spell. And we have the Dragon form, which can give us additional saving throws. Basically, we get you get additional rolls. So whenever you roll a 9 or lower, it's considered a 10 on concentration for holding your concentration. And you get Dazzling Breath, which is a radiant damage exploding attack. Very fun. At level 6, you get the Cosmic Omen. Whenever you long rest, you consult the stars for Cosmic Omen or Wheeler Woe. The Omen gives you the ability to increase or decrease attack rolls and saving throws to increase your allies' ability checks, which basically saves them. So you can use this to kind of alter the stars, almost like a divination wizard, but not fully. It's nice. Just giving you the option to be able to save your teammates is always good. And at level 10, we get the Twinkling Constellations, boosting our abilities. So the Archer's damage and the Chalice healing are increased by a 1d8, and the Dragon gains the ability to hover and fly at a movement speed of 6 meters. So nice little boost there to all the forms that you have. So with this, we got our Wild Shape, but you only get the basic forms here, and then we also got our special forms, so the Archer one. So I'll apply this here just to show you what the Archer does. So you get these special attacks here. So you got the Luminous Arrow doing 2d8 plus 3 radiant damage. You draw this bow, and it looks really cool. So with that, you can go ahead and do a weapon attack, basically a free bonus action attack there. Does radiant damage. I missed and hit that, but it does. I have the Gloves of Stormy, or Belligerent Skies here, which will stack Reverberation, which is actually, this is a good Reverberation build. So you get those little arrows there that you can shoot off. And then you can also switch your forms at any time. So if you wanted to go into a healing form, you can go with your Starry form Archer, and then when you apply a heal to a target, you then get a Chalice healing, which is 2d8 plus 3 healing. So you have to be able to, you have to heal a target first to be able to get this bonus action heal. So yeah, it does have a bit of an opportunity cost there, because in Baldur's Gate 3, it's not really, I guess it's not even a bonus action, you get it for free. With this game, you want to be attacking enemies as much as possible. Using healing is a little bit weaker, but this is not a bad healer, giving you that extra 2d8 plus 3 healing if you cast a healing spell here. So this is only just a level 1 button, but we can literally upcast this and do upwards of 43 healing. And if you have a teammate that's got like a something like the Wound Closer amulet, which can increase the amount of healing that they get to the maximum, this can be pretty good, because you'll do like you can do upwards of the level 5, even level 6 will give you even further. So you do around 50 with that, and then follow it up with another one that's going to do even more healing. So it's quite nice. But who is this for? It's for people that want to have this really cool appearance, I guess, to your character. Being able to switch around on the fly is nice. Also, I should, I guess, show off the Dragon's Breath here, because the Dragon's pretty cool. So you can swap freely between these. Dazzling Breath does 46 plus 3 radiant damage as a bonus action, and it hits in a large area, which is super cool. So then you also have the Cosmic Almond Wheels, which gives a 1d6 bonus to an ally saving throw, which would otherwise fail. So we can try and save, like we saved him there. It's pretty cool. Getting that bonus action breath and also the fly that you get from the dragon's cool. So you can fly around only upwards of 6 meters. So a little bit of extra mobility. I think this is a cool one. It's definitely unique. Who is this for? It's for people that think that this looks cool, I guess. You got, again, 4 star maps. You can do 4 guiding bolts for free. So it does give you a lot of options in terms of what you can do. It's a radiant druid, and you got these cool starry appearances, so it's a fun one. But if you think this looks cool, it's for you. If not, I mean, there's other classes out there. So yeah, you get a lot of great summons and crowd control from the druid spell list, so that's also something too. The Death Domain Cleric. This is cool because it's the first build to actually make radiant or necrotic damage useful, because at level 6 we can ignore necrotic resistances with the inescapable destruction. At level 1 though, we get the Reaper, so our necrotic cantrips can target multiple targets. So I'd actually recommend taking Bone Chill with this, because normal cleric spell list now includes the Bursting Sinew and the Toll the Dead necromancy cantrip, so we can blow up 2 corpses per turn. Name another build that can do 2 corpse explosions per turn. There's not one. It's just this. I guess per action, I should say, because if you have haste you could technically do it with anyone, but with this you also get the Touch of Death. So I actually posted a Hexblade multi-class with the Death Domain Cleric, and it actually works decently well, because with the Hexblade you're going around attack and you got spells. With this you can do additional necrotic damage on your attacks, which ignores resistances. We also get the Blindness and the Ray of Enfeeblement spells as our Cleric spell. We also get Vampiric Touch and Animate Dead at level 5, but level 6 is what I was talking about with the Inescapable Destruction, doing ignoring resistance to necrotic damage. So your necrotic spells will not be so bad, because again, in Act 2, every single thing will resist necrotic. This makes Blight even better. You can see there, 88 necrotic ignores resistance. However, just a little heads up, there's not that many plants in the game that you fight, so yeah, that's something. But you also get the Divine Strike Necrotic, which does additional necrotic damage on your attacks. And this can also proc the Touch of Death, so you have both of those going off at the same time. You also get Cloud Kill. What's nice about Cloud Kill and Contagion, but Cloud Kill, if you have Hero's Feast, your entire team will ignore the Cloud Kill poison damage. So that can also be quite nice, because ignoring the poison damage is super effective. You also get Planar Ally, which is a really big benefit of picking a Cleric, because you got that free summon, which is super useful to have. But the big thing with the Cleric is you're mostly built around doing necrotic damage. So you can also do Inflict Wounds, and this will also trigger your Touch of Death, so you can go ahead. Unfortunately, I did 21 damage, so that just completely bonks Gale to the ground. But if we're to attack someone that's a little bit stronger with their health here, like a Starry, we'll attack him, miss. Basically, what we want to do is attack him, and then we have the Touch of Death there. That's what I was trying to proc. So anytime you do a melee attack, and Inflict Wounds counts as a melee attack, you get an additional +5 and then a +2d12 necrotic damage. So this is nice. You can use that Channel Divinity. You got 2 of them, and there's an amulet that gives you a 3rd one. And then you also have your Divine Strike Necrotic, which you can do on a ranged attack, which is cool. So if you have a bonus action hand crossbow, you can trigger your extra necrotic damage that ignores resistances. You also can Bone Chill 2 targets at the same time, so that's pretty cool. That in itself is fun. But yeah, who is this class for? It's for people that want to focus on being like a death, I guess, cleric, a death mage type build. Its biggest benefit is being able to use necrotic damage and not have it be so awful. You can explode 2 corpses per turn. You can hit 2 people with Bone Chill, preventing them from getting healing for a turn. This is the ultimate necrotic build in the game. It may be for some people, but it's not going to be as powerful as the Tempest Cleric or a Light Cleric. So if you're looking for the maximum damage, Tempest Cleric. But hey, this is a fun one for people that want to play around necrotic damage. Now, the College Glamour, I'll be honest, not that great. Sword Bard being like a top 3 subclass in the game. Mantle Inspiration, you can imbue 2 enemies with Vigor and grant them 5 temporary health, and if they get hit with a melee attack, the attacker becomes charmed. 1 attack is going to remove that 5 temporary health, so you don't get to charm too many targets with this. But it does have some cool abilities. It's just not that strong, which I'll break down. So once we get to level 6, we get the Mantle of Majesty command. Command a creature to flee, move closer, freeze, drop to the ground, or drop its weapon. Basically the command spell, but you can only target 1 target with this. It does last for 10 turns, so you can continually keep doing it. It uses your bonus action. But the thing is, when you get to level 10 Bard, you get the ability to take command, which can be upcast to apply to 6 targets if you wanted to, which is much better because the Sword Bard can get it. The Sword Bard also gets 2 attacks. The Glamour Bard just doesn't have the same abilities of, you know, what you want out of a bard is like the ability to buff up your teammates, which there's better options like the Valor or the Lore Bard. This one is just in a weird spot where it's useful, yes, but it's just not as useful as some of the others. So you see there, you get the command spell if you wanted to. It just doesn't do anything very, very special. So yeah, you can buff up your teammates with the Mantle of Majesty, which you can apply to you can apply to 4 targets at a time. They get an additional 11 health points, and if they get hit with an attack, they become charmed, which is nice. Then the Mantle of Majesty there, so you can do like the, basically you got a free command spell that you can keep casting on targets, but it uses your bonus action, which is nice. But with a Sword Bard, you can take the Band of the Mystic Scoundrel, which lets you cast that as a bonus action anyways, and then you can use command on 6 targets instead of 1 target. So yeah, it's okay, but yeah, I just think that the Sword Bard really is better than this one. The Glamour Bard just doesn't have anything unique about it. It does charm targets, which is nice, but the 11 temporary health is gone pretty quickly. So yeah, I just think this is in a weird spot where it's not really that fantastic, but hey, it could be out there for somebody. I'm not sure who. The Sword Bard just is far beyond a much better option, because unless the Mantle of Majesty command is really cool to you, or the Mantle of Inspiration, going with Sword Bard and just focusing on doing like commands if you wanted to with the Band of Mystic Scoundrel is going to be much better. So I saved the best for last. My personal favorite is the Giant Barbarian, which gives you the Giant's Rage, increasing your size, and rage damage is bonus on throwing attacks. This becomes fun because you can do some pretty cool things as you continue to throw. This is a throwing build, but it's the best one that I've seen. You have the Boot of the Giants giving you a bonus action kick, which gives you an increased chance, which you can knock enemies off of ledges. If you're hidden, it gives you a better chance of that. But the big thing here, Elemental Cleaver. Whenever you're raging, you can add either acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder damage to your weapon attacks, and the weapon will get a thrown property. Previously, if you were to throw the Baldur Giant Slayer, the most powerful greatsword in the game, it can do 1 damage, because it just does a 1d4 on its attacks. However, if you use this, it gives a thrown property, which makes it so that it does its weapons damage, which is 2d6. So you make it 2d6 damage instead of 1d4, and then you also add all these extra bonuses to your attacks, and this will make your sword randomly or magically appear back in your hand, which is really good. So you can use any weapon as a throwing weapon. At level 10, we get the Mighty Impel, which I think is the coolest animation in the game. This is basically a suplex. You grab someone, you flip them over behind you, and you throw them. Now, I'm going to show off where this is super useful because it's a lot of fun. You do have to get into combat to be able to rage and do all these abilities, but I'll show you what that looks like here. So we go into our Giant's Rage here, which we can grow in size, and then we got our Elemental Cleaver here, which we can then make any weapon a throwing weapon. I'm also using the Snowburst Ring here, which can create ice surfaces whenever we throw our weapon, which makes this even cooler. But the big thing is you got this Mighty Impel, so we can grab a target and throw it at another target or throw them off the ledge. And you can see there, it's athletics check failed. Whenever you do this, it has a really cool animation. So we can go ahead, try that again, throw Jaheira into Halsin. You do that backwards flip like that, literally a suplex. It's hilarious. So yeah, it knocks targets prone too. So you can be a chaotic person with this one because yeah, you got that throw there. And then on top of that, we also got our throwing attacks, which we can use on like our weapon because it's now going to return to our hand. So I'll throw that at him, and then it's going to create a nice surface because of the Snowburst Ring. And then, yeah, we also have some really fun options for combat. You also got the Boot of the Giants here, which you can use to kick people. She's not going to be able to get moved very far, but I'm sorry, Shadowheart. Yeah, you can see there, the range is crazy on that. So you got the bonus action kick, you got the bonus action throw. You can also throw enemies, suplex them off of ledges, like you can throw them into like a death pit, a chasm, and just instantly take them out. That's what makes this a very fun class, because you can throw any weapon, you can throw any person that you see that's not larger than you. So you can only throw medium size or smaller, but it's fun. I think this is really fun. Nothing better than taking one of the guards in Act 3 and throwing them into a Steel Watcher as it explodes. Perfect fun. So I really like the Giant Barbarian. This is fun for anyone who wants to play a complex or a chaotic character, doing some rustling moves and getting the ability to throw any weapon in the game. So there's a lot of great classes here. Just to rehash kind of everything that I said, pick whatever sounds most interesting to you. Like, even if you like the Glamour Bard, it may not be the best, but hey, if you think it's fun, that's all that matters. So there's a lot of great subclasses that got added to the game. My personal favorites are the Giant Barbarian, the Hexblade Warlock, the Bladesinging Wizard, the Oath of the Crown. I think that these are some of the best new classes that got added to the game. And the Shadow Magic Sorcerer, probably it's hard between the Giant Barbarian, the Oath, the Shadow Magic Sorcerer, because the dog is really cool, but also being able to throw anything and do the suplex is also really cool. So I'm a big fan personally of those two, but it's your own personal preference at the end of the day. So if one of these sounds cool to you, you'll probably enjoy it. But I just wanted to cover all the cool subclass features of each of these and kind of explain which class would be best for what kind of playstyle. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next one.